Hey guys, I am back with a new video today. We are doing best class or what class you guys should play in Dragon Raja video. I want to wait until they release a new class before making this video, but it's been like a couple months and they haven't, so I want to make it this video and maybe make an updated one when they finally release a new class. Now I'll be playing a little, I did some research, and in this video I'm going to try to explain to you guys what class you guys should play, which class is the strongest currently, which class is the best for free to play, what class is good in PvE or PvE, or if they're good in both. And if I talk bad about your class that you're currently playing, I'm sorry, but it's going to be my opinion and some research that I have done when it comes to classes. So let's jump right into it. Make sure you guys follow my socials below. Make sure you like and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and let's check this out. So I am here on my Blademaster. Now if you guys know and you watch my previous videos, you guys would know that Blademaster used to be really strong early game when he first came out. It had a very high defense, good damage, super strong in PvP, and he was just overall a tank. But not the case anymore. Blademaster is actually not that strong anymore in both PvE and PvP, unfortunately, and that's upsetting for me too, because you know, I am a Blademaster player. I love, like, you had the DPS / tank key class that could do really good in PvE and PvP, but generally now in PvE it's not that strong. It was so many more classes that output more DPS than the Blademaster. The tankiness does not matter too much anymore. A lot of the classes have damage reduction spells and skills that they can use and still output way more DPS than the Blademaster. So overall, for dungeons or when it comes to Dragon Slayer or anything like that, it's not that strong anymore, unfortunately. But when it comes to PvP, however, in 1v1 situations it can do really well. It has some good CCs, good skills, good void skills that it can use to counter a lot of classes. But you put the Blademaster in a mass PvP or battlefield, any type like that, since it's being a melee class and it has to go up front and it can't unleash that much damage, and most of the class will shred through the Blademaster defense in big battlefield or PvP fights, the Blademaster will get crushed. So unfortunately not that strong anymore when it could get to end game content. However, if you're playing super early game and playing the early dungeons and so on, the Blademaster is really good for a free-to-play player. But as a free-to-play player, if you reach end game, then Blademaster definitely not a good way to compete. And it's really sad because a lot of people love the Blademaster, and hopefully we'll get a buff in the future so they can compete versus the other classes. But currently, even if you spend a lot of money, the defense will not be as strong as the offense for the other classes, so they will shred you and they will out DPS you no matter what when it comes to PvP or dungeons generally. Now that is the Blademaster. Now let's go to more of a good news, the Souldancer. Now the Souldancer is actually a phenomenal class. I love this class a lot. It is an assist mage class, but the Souldancer has since the start been really like decent, but now it's actually a really good class. Now the Souldancer, sorry, it switched. Now the Souldancer is the healer support type class. It can heal and it can do a lot of burst damage, and it is a really good class for PvE. I will put it on the top tier, not the maybe like the highest tier, but like right below it, and is super good in PvE. Can do good support, can do good buffs and debuffs. Super fun class to play, has some CC abilities, and the best of all, it has the healing abilities. You can both heal and deal a lot of burst damage, which is super useful for both PvE and PvP. Now when it comes to PvP, the Souldancer is actually one of the only counters to Reaper. We're going to talk more about Reaper later. And that's why it can do good in like 1v1 PvP battles. And when it comes to like group PvP, it's also super strong because of its healing and the buffs and the debuffs it gives to the team. So overall, the Souldancer is really good class to play if you are used to playing healer in other games or a support player. Definitely check out the Souldancer. And if you're a free-to-play player, Souldancer is also good because you can even play like endgame dungeons or do PvP with like whales if you're a good Souldancer, because if you're not paying to win, you will do like a little less healing, a little less DPS, but overall the Souldancer is a phenomenal class. Definitely suggest for free-to-play players or like whale players, and I will probably put like overall I will put it on the top because it's good for people that spend money, people that are free to play, people that you can do all end game stuff. You can participate in everything from VP to PvE, and just a phenomenal class. So definitely suggest you to try out the Souldancer if you haven't already, or if you're getting into the game. Souldancer is a really nice class to play. Now let's switch it up again. Let's go to the fighter. Now the fighter was not released on launch. It got introduced later around May, I think. And the fighter class is a melee class up on its enemies with doing some DPS, high DPS burst damage that the fighter will output. However, the fighter isn't that strong of a class. Like, I would put it in PvE. I would put it can do some nice explosive burst DPS, but not like over longer time. And so I will put it in like the bottom tier with the Blademaster. However, it can do good in like Dragon Slayer if you know how to play the class. And other than that, like group dungeon or anything, it's not that great because again, it has damage. That's what is going for it. But most of the classes have like some kind of buff or debuff that it can give to the teammates, but the fighter does not, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it has the debuff, but a buff I think it has. But other than that, it's not that good overall. If I was going to go for a melee class, I would potentially go for a different melee class than the fighter, and I just don't see it as a strong like group PvP fighter. In the group PvP is not that strong. Again, in 1v1s it is decent. So it's overall a decent class, and if you really want like a good fighter, you want to invest in it. If you want to invest money and make it super strong, you can do that. But as a free-to-play player, don't suggest to try out the fighter. And again, when it comes to mobile MMORPGs, guys, you don't want to go for a melee class, especially that doesn't have high defense. So not my type of class. A lot of people enjoy this class, but maybe we'll get a bigger buff in the future. But currently, fighter is not the class to go for, and let him move on to the next one, the Gunslinger. Now, the Gunslinger has been a top for a long time, even since the start of the game. Gunslinger was really good, has a long range, super strong DPS when it comes to PvE and PvP. Can hold his range, can kite bosses, and can avoid any kind of danger and output a lot of DPS. So for PvE, Souldancer is like on the top tier, can do some amazing, super strong DPS. I think highest DPS out of all the classes in PvE. In PvP, it can be good in 1v1s if it doesn't get locked. If it gets locked in and controlled, you're gonna be in trouble. But if you can do some good kiting with this class and use your skills really good, you can do a lot of DPS and keep the range from your enemies. But there are counters to the class that can jump and do some good CCs on the class. It's not too good for 1v1, but for group PvP, it is good because it can hold its distance. And if you don't get focused by assassins or anything, you can just stay invisible, get away from players, and do a lot of DPS from long range, and they won't even bother with you, and you can just slay out with your range basically and your damage, like super high damage and super good range on this, and it's not that hard to play. So again, if you want to be a DPS and you're a free-to-play player and you're starting new, Gunslinger highly suggested because of the good range on it, and very easy to learn and very easy to avoid like boss attacks or anything like that. So Gunslinger is super nice. If I was starting the game today as a DPS and I could choose between any DPS, I would go for the Gunslinger. Definitely the best way to progress as a DPS. Now, talked about the Blademaster, we talked about Souldancer, Fighter, and Gunslinger. So let's move on to a melee class, the Assassin. Should probably have gone in like a row here instead of like jumping all over the place, but you know, you guys are fine, right? You guys are fine. Now the Assassin has been also again been really good from the start. Is a melee class, and a lot of melee class struggle in like MMORPGs, but this one is really good. It has like a survivability skill, which is amazing. Super high damage class as a melee, but it's really difficult to play. Like learning an assassin requires you to actually put some effort into your skills, your rotations, and knowing when to attack and when not to attack. So PvE wise, it's super strong if you know how to play it. For PvP, it struggles maybe in 1v1s. It can struggle a little bit, but can get jump on some classes. The nice thing about this game, guys, that I really like is a lot of classes have like counters to each other. There's like maybe there's one class that will completely dominate the other classes, but the assassin can get a jump on some classes and do decent in 1v1s. But in group PvP, I'm a big fan of assassin because it can target like outskirt players, like for example the Gunslinger, and just jump on it and just completely destroy gunslingers and so on. And it's really good for PvE. If you run a dungeon with 4 or 5 assassins, 4 assassins, or like a Souldancer, you're just gonna run through that dungeon really fast, do good damage, have like the survivability skill that can survive one shot, and overall super fun and exciting class. Like I really want to learn and play assassin if I get into the game again, and because it is the hardest class to play in my opinion, and the most fun class to play. Group PvP, again, the best thing about it is you can go around as an assassin on the outskirts and take out players, and but if you get involved in the big fight AoE, you're gonna get shredded. But that's why you're an assassin. You gotta be sneaky. So assassin, as a free-to-play player, I would put it in like the mid-range. I wouldn't put it like highly suggest class or like not suggested at all. I would put it in like the mid tier. So if you want to play like a difficult mechanical class, try out the assassin. Super fun. But let's move on to the last one, which is the Reaper. Now I saved the best for last. Now the Reaper was the newest class that was introduced to Dragon Raja, and Reaper, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Reaper is a phenomenal class. It does magic damage, close to mid-range, and has long-range attacks. Not too hard to play, has an amazing looking scythe that he attacks with. PvE wise, does some good damage. I will put it like mid to top tier in PvE. There is some class that will out DPS it, but let's be real, PvE end games, like everybody can eventually complete them. What you really want is how you compete with this guy. This class is probably the most played right now in the game, and there's a good reason for that. Now when it comes to 1v1s, this class will shred everybody. They introduced a fair play arena where you can play, and it's going to be full of Reapers. There is a counter to the Reaper, which is Souldancer. If the Souldancer gets off a dot attack, it can do really good damage to the Reaper. But other than that, the Reaper will literally just destroy any class it fights. Group PvP, super strong. 1v1s, super strong. As a free-to-play, super good if you're gonna get into PvP and so on. Reaper is definitely a good class to play for a free-to-play player. And overall, if you're a spender or a whale, anything, go for the Reaper. It will do really amazing. Like I love this class, and it's just like overpowered class. It does have some bugs. I don't know if they got fixed or not. But other than that, it's really strong class, and if you want to find like an easy route to become be in the top, go for the Reaper. So my tiers in the end of the video, My top tier overall, I'm just taking everything into account, PvP, PvE, so on. I would put Souldancer, Reaper, and the Gunslinger, like the top tier, top tier. Mid tier, I'll put the Assassin, and then the low tier, I'll put Fighter and the Blademaster. So that is my class video. What are we going to call it? Fall, best class fall video of Dragon Raja. If you guys agree with me, let me know. If you disagree, also let me know in the comments. I love reading comments and giving your getting the different opinions. Let me know what class you guys are playing in this game. I love this game. I'm going to make more videos on Dragon Raja and talk more about the game very soon. So make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video.